Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of biology. And of course today we are looking at obviously the nervous system. Okay, so we're looking at nervous system. All right, and of course do not forget that these tutorials, all of these episodes, okay, they are brought to you by the O3 Schools app, the JAMB and the WAEC application. All right, if you have made a decision that you do not want to write your JAMB exam or write your WAEC exam twice, you want to write it once and forget about it forever, please, I beg you, I will kneel down if you can see me. Choose the O3 Schools app today. All right, and of course follow our videos and you will see that you have no iota of problem. All right, so we'll talk about the app in a moment. Let us see a past question from the app as relates to this nervous system. All right, I'm going to see year 2018 number 2. Okay, and it says here, it is being displayed on the screen right now. It says that the part of the brain that's responsible for the control of voluntary movements and interpretations of sensations is known as, A says the cerebrum, B says the cerebellum, C says the optic lobe, D says the olfactory lobe. All right, so we'll come back to this question and many more, as it is our practice to teach you first. We believe that once you have been properly taught, okay, once you understand what you have been taught, then there's no way question will be asked of you that you'll not be able to conquer. That's why we advise you, we admonish you to download the O3 School app immediately. It has everything you need to succeed. All the past questions for all the subjects are on the application. Aside that, there are a lot of other wonderful features, like the question search feature, where you can search for question according to topic. Just like this question now, we just went to question search. Click on the subject biology, search for nervous system, and questions that JAMB has set from all years as it relates to nervous system came out for us to answer. Is that not wonderful? Okay. Also, there's a classroom feature that has lecture notes that have been structured according to the JAMB syllabus for you. So you have no need of any textbook. All right. And apart from that, in that classroom, you can create a study plan. What the study plan helps you to achieve is that it will create a timetable for you according to the subjects you have selected, either for the JAMB app or for the WAEC app, and then it will create a timetable for you and crash all of the syllabus for you so that you can to finish your syllabus at once and in time. A lot of you prepare for your exam without studying with your syllabus, and that is a big problem. All right. Also, the classroom also has the JAMB syllabus in case you need it, so you don't need to go and look for JAMB syllabus anywhere. More so, there's also what the UTME or the WAEC challenge. Okay, in this challenge, all students that are writing the exam for this year come together to the app and then they compete with each other to win amazing prizes every Saturday. All right, but the prizes is not the main point. The main point is that you get used to JAMB or WAEC past question, JAMB or WAEC likely exam questions, and of course you'll be able to see how examiners are reasoning, how they think, and the kind of question they may possibly ask you, thereby making you to be prepared per time. Also, your results will be released. It's not as if it's a play mock exam. It's a correct and complete mock exam, all right, according to the standards of JAMB and WAEC, of course. So immediately after the exam, you see your score released, your result will be released, so you'll be able to know how you are prepared, how much prepared you are per time. So please jump on the application. There's a little activation fee. Check the activation procedure on the app. Click on activate. At the top, you see where they wrote buy activation key. Click on it. Click on, you see 3 options. Click on buy transfer. You see the account number. You see the correct cost, the correct current cost on the application. All right. So please do not delay yourself. You do not have a time. Start early. Okay. So let us look at the nervous system. The last class we looked at neurons. Okay, we look at what neurons. I will say that neurons are the fundamental, they are the basic, they are the structural and functional units of the nervous system. So the nervous system consists of one we call the central nervous system, and then the peripheral nervous system. All right, so the nervous system consists of 2 types of nervous system, which is the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. We're going to look at them one after the other. So the central nervous system consists of what? Of the brain and the spinal cord. All right, the central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system consists of the motor and the sensory system. We're going to see all of that, all right? We're going to see the somatic nervous system and the autonomous nervous system. We're also going to see sympathetic and parasympathetic, even the cranial nerves, everything. We're going to look at all of them in the peripheral nervous system, all right? So please just know that the nervous system consists of the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, and the central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord, and that is where we are going to begin from. All right, so the brain itself is what you are seeing on the board right now. Okay, so this is the structure of your brain. Not be my own, no, because I'm not sure this is exactly how my own looks like. Okay, so this is the structure of what? Of the brain. This is just what a sketch of what it looks like, all right, of one part, okay, the one hemisphere of what? Of the brain. All right, so now the brain is protected, apart from being protected by the skull, okay? So it is important for us to know what protects what the brain, okay? So the brain is protected by what we call the brain box. The brain is protected by the brain box, okay? This brain box is also called the cranium, all right? We call it the cranium, and it is present as part of the skull, all right? So the brain is protected, this brain, you are seeing, is protected by the brain box called what? The cranium. And this cranium or the brain box is part of what? Of the skull. And of course, you know what protects the what? The spinal cord. What protects the spinal cord is the vertebral column or the backbone, okay? While the spinal cord is protected by the vertebral column or what? The backbone, all right? And take note of that. They are very, very important too. So what protects the brain is the brain box or the cranium. What protects the spinal cord is the vertebral column or the backbone. Apart from these bones, okay, that protect what? The brain and what? And the spinal cord, they also have some protective coverings. They also have some protective coverings. We call them protective coverings. Protective coverings. All right, protective coverings, all right? And the brain is protected by a membrane. It's protected by a membrane, somewhat like a membrane-like structure. Membrane-like structure that we call what? The meninges. All right, please take note of that, okay? The brain is protected also, apart from the bones that what protect the brain, is also protected by a membrane-like structure called the meninges. And these meninges also have what? Like 3 other what? Membranes, okay? And they include, number 1, the dura mater. Dura mater, please take note. They also have the arachnoid mater. And then lastly, we have the pia mater, M-A-T-E-R, okay? So this is the membrane, okay, that is what? That makes up what? The meninges, okay? So the brain is protected by, from the brain box that protect the brain. There are also some other coverings, okay, that protect what? The brain, okay, that are called what? That's called what? This meninges. And this meninges what? Consists of what? 3 other membranes called the dura mater, the arachnoid mater, and the pia mater. Also, between all of these membranes, there's also what? A fluid that is present. There's a fluid that is present that is called the cerebrospinal fluid, okay? Called the CSF, the cerebrospinal fluid, all right? Between all this membrane, okay, there is a fluid that is present, okay, that also helps to protect, called what? The cerebrospinal fluid. And the function of this cerebrospinal fluid, 1, is to absorb shock and jerks, okay? 1, to absorb shock and jerk, all right? And then number 2, also because it is a fluid, it helps to keep the central nervous system moist, okay? Number 2, it helps to keep the CNS moist. And thirdly, also another function is supplies food and oxygen. Number 3, okay, supplies food and oxygen to different parts of the central nervous system. Okay, so this is the function of the cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, we say that what it is there to absorb shock and jerk. Okay, and also helps to keep the central nervous system moist, and then thirdly supplies food and oxygen to different parts of the central nervous system. Okay, also note that this cerebrospinal fluid is also present in the spinal cord also. Okay, so now that takes us to what? To the brain. Okay, we say that the brain is the control center. It's like this. It's like the control center of the body. Okay, we call it the control center of the body. Okay, the brain is the control center of the body. It's a powerful machine or organ. Okay, it's a magnificent organ. What the brain does, man. In fact, the brain is the most powerful computer. It's the most powerful computer. Just take note of that, okay? Because the number of things it does in a day, okay, and the number of things it does at a time, man, it is awesome, okay? And this is the brain, and the brain consists of what? Of 3 parts. All right, we have what? Number one we call the forebrain. There are 3 parts, okay, of the brain. All right, we have what? The forebrain. Okay, then we have the midbrain. Then we now have what? The hindbrain. Okay, so these are the 3 parts, okay, of what? Of the brain. And this is what is the brain, as you can see obviously here. Okay, so in young babies, like in embryo, developing babies, okay, like the embryo stage, in young babies, this is how like the brain looks like. The brain looks like this. It looks like this, somewhat like this. Okay, looks like this. All right, this is how it looks like. This is the front part here. This is the middle part, and this is the back part. All right, this front part is what develops into the forebrain, as you are seeing here. All right, then this middle part is what develops into what? This midbrain. Then back part is what develops into what? This hindbrain, or what? The hindbrain that we're talking about. Okay, so please take note of that. The brain has 3 parts: the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. Okay, so now right here we have what? The forebrain here. All right, from the diagram, this is the forebrain. The parts also have some other parts. Okay, so the forebrain has some parts. The midbrain, they will now have the hindbrain, they also have some parts. Okay, so the cerebrum, the corpus callosum, the thalamus, hypothalamus, these ones are the forebrain. Okay, these parts are found in the forebrain. We also have the olfactory lobe. Okay, olfactory lobe. All right, the one that helps to sense smell. Okay, it's somewhere around here. Okay, the olfactory lobe. All right, it's also in the forebrain. All right, then we now have the midbrain. Okay, then we now have the pons, the cerebrum, the medulla oblongata. These ones are in the hindbrain. All right, so these are the parts of the brain that we have. The cerebrum is part of the forebrain. The corpus callosum is part of the forebrain. The thalamus is part of the forebrain. The hypothalamus is part of the forebrain. They will now have the midbrain. They will now have the hindbrain, which comprises of the pons, cerebellum, medulla oblongata. Now, the olfactory lobe or bulb, this is lobe, or bulb. Can call it olfactory lobe or bulb. It's the brain smell center. Call it the smell center. Okay, the olfactory bulb is the part of the brain that is it's not shown here. Okay, it's like we say, it is just above the nasal cavity. It is just above the nasal cavity, above your nose. Okay, so somewhere around here. So the olfactory lobe or bulb is the brain. It should be somewhere around there, because this is one hemisphere of the brain. All right. So and of course it should be somewhere here. This is the front part, so it should be somewhere around here. All right. So we say it is above the nasal cavity. Okay. It is the brain smell center. Okay, it processes smell information. The olfactory lobe processes smell information. So whenever you perceive a smell, it is the olfactory lobe, okay, that will be activated. All right, with the help of what the nerves, it will take the information to the what, to the brain. The brain will process it, okay, and then distinguish between what type of smell it is. Okay, it's even help to what, even link what smell with what, with emotion and memory. Okay, so please just take note of that. Okay, so there's what, the olfactory lobe, okay, and what, the cerebrum. Okay, we have the cerebrum, we have the olfactory lobe. Okay, now this olfactory lobe has two main parts. There's one we call the olfactory tract. Okay, we have what, the olfactory tract. Okay, and then we also have the olfactory what bulb, olfactory tract. Then we also have the olfactory bulb. Okay, so we have what, the olfactory bulb. Then we also have what, the olfactory what tract. So it is the olfactory what bulb that's first of all activated. Okay, so when a smell comes, the olfactory bulb will receive the smell. Okay, it will receive the smell from the sensory receptors in the nasal cavity. So this olfactory bulb, first of all, is what receive the what? It receives what, the smell signal. It receives the smell signal, okay, from what, from the sensory receptors, okay, in the what, the nasal what, cavity. So now what this olfactory tract now does now is to now what, carry what, this process signal, okay, deeper into the brain. All right, so the brain will now what, analyze what, that smell. Okay, so that's what happens in what, in the olfactory what bulb. Okay, so please take note of that. So the major function of the olfactory bulb, number one, is to detect what, odor molecules. All right, so number one, functions of the olfactory lobe. Okay, number one, to detect odor molecules. All right, then number two, it also identifies and distinguishes between what, different types of smell. Okay, also have to identify and distinguish between what, different types of smell. Okay, and also it links, number three, it links smell with memory and emotions. All right, it links what, smell with memories and emotions. Most of you know how a cockroach smells, isn't it? Okay, so if you kill a cockroach, you know the smell. So whenever you start perceiving what cockroach will smell, you will know that this one is cockroach smell. All right, so it's what, it is this olfactory what lobe that is what link the smell with memory and what, and emotions. And some of you don't even like cockroach smell, don't even like cockroach at all. You see that some of you just feel bad once. Okay, you want to look for that cockroach and move it. Okay, so it's that simple as what, as A, B, C. All right, so they detect odor molecules, identify and distinguish between different types of smell, and then what, link smell with memory and emotions. Then also we have what, the cerebrum. Okay, we've talked about what, the olfactory lobe. All right, so we also have what, the cerebrum, and the cerebrum is what, is the largest part of what, of the brain. Okay, it takes about two-thirds of the whole what, of the whole brain. Okay, so it is the largest, and it is divided into what, two. Okay, we have what, the right hemisphere, okay, and what, the left hemisphere. All right, so this right hemisphere and this left hemisphere, they are connected by this what, corpus what, callosum. All right, please take note of what, of that. All right, so the cerebrum is the largest part of what, of the brain. All right, and of course it's divided what, into two parts or two hemispheres, the right hemisphere and what, the left hemisphere. Okay, and this right and left hemisphere, they are connected by what, this what, corpus callosum. Also, you also find what, grooves. You find grooves. If you see the brain, I'm showing you picture of the brain here. You see some grooves like this, or what, ridges. Call them grooves or what, ridges that are what, in the cerebrum. Okay, and this, the more the number of grooves, the more the number of grooves or ridges correspond to the more number of axons and neurons. which help to improve our understanding, which help to what to improve your what your understanding. So the more number of grooves and these ridges that you have, okay, it correspond to the more number of axons and neurons, all right, and also what correspond to what to how much what you understand. So the more number, the more you understand. So it helps to what to improve. Okay, these grooves or ridges, the more in number they are, they help to what improve our understanding. Okay, so please take note of that also. Okay, so the cerebrum is what is in fact it is called the seat of intelligence. All right, it is the seat of intelligence, and it has for several functions. Let us look at some of the functions. All right, so let us see the functions of the forebrain or the cerebrum or the olfactory lobe, okay? Because the olfactory lobe and the cerebrum, they are present in the forebrain, okay? So we're looking at the functions of what? Of the cerebrum or the forebrain. All right, so now functions number one, the forebrain, which consists of the cerebrum and the olfactory lobe, is what is the main site for sensory information. Okay, it is the main site for receiving and processing sensory information like vision, hearing, touch, even smell. Okay, so that is what one of the function of what of the forebrain or the cerebrum. Okay, so it's the main site for receiving and processing sensory information like vision, like touch, like hearing, even like taste. All right, so it receives what and processes what all of this was sensory information. Your eyes, the ones your eyes see, the ones your ear hear, the ones you feel or touch with your skin, the one you smell, the one you taste with your tongue, and so on and so forth. The cerebrum receives what all of this sensory what information. It receives it and processes it. Okay, so all of this happens in the forebrain. Also, another function is voluntary motor control. Okay, so any voluntary action, okay, like you want to walk, okay, you want to move from place to place, okay, so it's all of this process in the forebrain. All right, likewise, number three, it has what it is the site for what higher mental functions, such as what thinking, planning, and decision making. Okay, well, I told you earlier that the cerebrum is the seat of intelligence. Is the seat of what? Of intelligence. That is the part, in fact, where creativity is activated. Okay, so if you see somebody that's creative, it means saying cerebrum they work well. Okay, so it's the seat of intelligence. It is the site for what? For higher mental function. So that if I'm thinking, it's in the forebrain. Okay, if I'm planning, if not to plan very well, it happens in the forebrain. You want to make decisions, your forebrain, okay, your cerebrum is what is activated. Also, aside from higher mental functions, it's also a site for memory and learning. Memory and what? And learning. Okay, so as you are learning right now and as you are understanding, it is because of what? Of your cerebrum, right? So your cerebrum is what? Is activated, okay? So all of this happens in what? In the forebrain for what? Memory and learning. Also, regulation of emotion. Regulation of emotion and motivation. Okay, this is another function of what of the forebrain. Okay, so regulating of your emotion and your motivation, all of this happens in the forebrain. It happens in the forebrain. Also, maintaining hemostasis, VI, maintaining homeostasis via the hypothalamus. hypothalamus. Okay, so it also helps what to maintain what body temperature. Okay, and what the part of the forebrain that does this is what is the hypothalamus. Okay, so the hypothalamus is there to what to help to what to regulate what your body temperature, your what your hunger, sleep. Okay, all of this is the function of the hypothalamus. Okay, the hypothalamus is there to what to control what your body temperature, your what hunger, sleep, even emotions. Okay, that is the function of the hypothalamus. So please note it down. All right. So if in fact, it's in your exam past questions. Okay. So the hypothalamus function is to what? Is to control what? Your body temperature, emotion, hunger, sleep. Okay. What about the thalamus, which is now what the other part of what of the forebrain? The thalamus is there to act as a relay point, for sensory impulses. Okay, so the thalamus, this is thalamus. Okay, this one is hypothalamus. Okay, it is hypothalamus that what helps to control body temperature. Okay, that helps to what control your emotion, your hunger, sleep, and so on and so forth. While the thalamus is there to act as a relay point for what all of this was sensory impulses. Okay, so please take note of that. That is the forebrain, and that will take us now to the what? To the midbrain. But before I look at the midbrain, I've discovered that several of you do not support our enterprise, okay? You do not even want your other colleagues to pass. Some of you, I heard that you have made a personal decision that you cannot be there and see that another person is passing, okay? You say for our family, you know they assist, you know they help, okay? So please, it is a very, very wrong thing to do, all right? So what you simply do to support us is by liking this video. Liking the video will make what the algorithm to suggest this video to students who are preparing for exams like you. And because they have made this channel, it means that what they will succeed, just like the way you are enjoying what this class right now. All right. So please make sure you like that button. Click on that like button even right now, as we are learning. Don't click on the like button. Share, copy the link of the video, share it to your friends, to your loved ones, okay, to your class groups. Let them also come and learn and succeed. All right. You can also ensure drop comment if you have questions. Okay, if you have addition, you can add it too. Okay, and also your assignments, comment them in the comment section. Okay, so now let us now go to the midbrain. Now, the midbrain is also known as mesencephalon. Okay, can go call it mesencephalon. Okay, and the midbrain is located between the forebrain and the hindbrain. Okay, so please take note of that. It's also known as mesencephalon. It's located between the forebrain and the hindbrain. Okay, and the midbrain is a small central part of the brainstem. This brainstem is the lower part of the brain that connects the brain to the spinal cord. Okay, the lower part of the brain that connects the brain to the spinal cord. So the midbrain is a small central part of the brainstem that acts as a relay. It acts as a relay and control center for visual, okay, for auditory. That is what this visual that has to do with your sight. Auditory that has to do with your ears, and motor control. Okay, please take note of that. Okay, that the midbrain is a small central part of the brainstem. Okay, that acts as a relay and control center for visual processing, for auditory processing, visual processing that has to do with your sight, auditory processing that has to do with your ears, and also motor control. All right, so that is the midbrain. The midbrain is also very, very important. So now let us quickly see the functions of the midbrain. Number one is visual reflexes. Just imagine that something is moving now. You turn your eye, to look at it, and then you are tracking it. So that turning of head, okay, that's what a visual reflex. So one of the function, number one, is what? Visual reflexes, okay? And by visual reflexes, we mean that what? It coordinates automatic response, okay? Have to what? To coordinate automatic response to visual stimuli, okay? E.g., turning your head towards a moving object, okay? Something just passed now, or maybe a mosquito just fly past, or maybe a fly just fly past. You want to turn your head to look at it, okay? So that is what visual reflexes. It is handled by the midbrain, okay? So it's have to coordinate automatic response to visual stimuli. Also, we have what we call auditory reflex. Auditory reflex, okay? Let's say you hear a sound now, okay? You just turn your ear towards it, turn your head towards the direction of what? Of the sound, okay? That is what auditory reflex. It is handled by the what? By the midbrain, okay? We mean that here that it processes and directs reflexive response to sound, okay? It processes and directs reflexive what? Response to sound. Example is what? It's turning your head to what? To a sounding sound, okay? Also, another function of what? Of the midbrain, also, I told you that it has motor functions, all right? So we have a battery, motor control. So it helps to what? To help to initiate and regulate voluntary movements, okay? All right, it's help to what? To initiate and regulate voluntary what? Movement. Also, another function is what? Is eye movements, okay? Eye movements. All right, you discover that sometimes when there's too much overexposure, when there's overexposure to what? Your light, when your eyes are overexposed to what? To light, so that what? Your pupil size need to what? Need to change, okay? So so that the lens has to adjust so that it can focus on the image, all right? So all of this is done by what? By the midbrain, all right? So eye movement control is what? Another what? Function of what? Of the midbrain, all right? It regulates pupil size, okay, lens shape, and tracks movements. Also have another what? Function, which is called what? That is number 5 now. We call it pain modulation. It contains areas that help to what? To suppress pain signals. All right, so that is another function of what? Of the what? Of the midbrain. Also, there's another one called what? Alertness and arousal. Okay, the alertness what? And arousal. It works with reticular formation to keep you alert and attentive. Okay, it works with reticular formation to keep you alert and what? Attentive. Okay, so these are all the functions of what? Of the midbrain, all right? It's visual reflexes help to what? Coordinate automatic response to stimuli, e.g. what? Turning your what? Your eye, all right, to a moving object. Auditory reflex processes and directs reflexive response to sound, turning your head towards what? Towards a sound that you heard. All right. Motor control also help to what? Initiate and regulate voluntary movement. Also, eye movement control regulates pupil size, lens shape, and what? Tracks movement. Pain modulation contains areas that help to suppress pain signals. They have alertness and arousal, works with reticular formation to keep you alert and very, very attentive. And that will now take us to the hindbrain. All right, so please ensure you like this video, ensure you subscribe to this channel, ensure you are sharing, all right, our videos link to your friends, your loved ones who are preparing for exam, your junior ones, okay? Let them start preparing, all right? Let them start preparing for what? for their JAMB and WAEC from SS1 to be a very good thing. All right, so now let us look at what the hindbrain. The hindbrain. All right, and we'll say that the hindbrain comprises of what? Of three major parts. We have the cerebellum. Okay, we have the pons. Then we now have the medulla oblongata. All right. Remember when they will insult you in primary school that your medulla oblongata is crazy, or your medulla oblongata no they work. Okay. All right. So that's the medulla oblongata. It is found in the what? In the hindbrain. All right. So let us begin with the medulla first of all. Okay, because it's popular amongst your kind. All right. So medulla oblongata controls. So I'm looking at medulla oblongata. And this medulla oblongata controls involuntary functions. Okay, functions that some of them you think you are the one controlling them, but you are not actually controlling them. They are involuntary, like your breathing. Okay, so that means that the hindbrain helps to keep you alive. All right, because without the hindbrain helping to control those involuntary functions, you go because if you think you are the one that is controlling it, sometimes you will forget. Okay, imagine breathing. Imagine something as simple as breathing. Okay, that you do. Let's say, for example, you do not breathe for like 30 minutes or 1 hour. You have gone. All right. So the hindbrain helps to keep you alive. If you forget anything about the hindbrain, don't know that it helps to keep you alive. So the medulla oblongata, which is found in the hindbrain, okay, controls involuntary functions like heartbeat, okay, like what? Like breathing, okay, even blood pressure, even swallowing, as well as coughing, like even vomiting, okay, coughing and vomiting. All right, so please take note of that. That is the function of the medulla oblongata. It is there to control involuntary functions. Okay, involuntary functions like heartbeat, like breathing, like blood pressure, like swallowing. Sometimes I think we're not controlling now. So I food go down our windpipe, so it is involuntary. Okay, it is not voluntary. It is not voluntary. You're not the one controlling it. All right, it is involuntary. Although you would think with your head that you want to swallow. All right, but the other process after you put it in your mouth, okay, is controlled. All right, is controlled involuntarily. All right. So now swallowing, coughing, and what? And vomiting. Now let us now look at the pons. The pons. Okay, this one acts as a relay, all right? It acts as a relay or bridge between the brain regions. Okay, so that is the function of the pons. It acts as a relay, okay, or bridge between the brain regions. It helps to regulate breathing, okay? This pons helps to regulate breathing. Okay, breathing is there. It also helps to regulate sleep. Okay, also helps to regulate facial expressions. Okay, your facial expressions, all right? It is the pons that regulates that. Also help to regulate balance. All right, so that is the pons. It acts as a relay or a bridge. Okay, and there's a bridge between the brain regions. Helps in breathing, helps to regulate breathing, helps to regulate facial expressions, helps to regulate sleep and and balance. Then that now took us to the cerebellum. All right, so the cerebellum. Okay, this one helps to maintain posture. Okay, so how you stand, okay, how you sit, okay, your posture. It helps to maintain your posture. That is why whenever you drink alcohol, okay, it is your cerebellum that is affected. Okay, so it confuses your cerebellum. So you see that and I was struggling when you are drunk. You see that you are going from one place to the other. Somebody that breeze is carrying. Okay, so the cerebellum helps to maintain posture. Okay, maintains posture and coordination of voluntary movements. All right, so that's the function of the cerebrum. It's to what? To maintain posture and coordination of what? Of voluntary what? Movement. All right, so it helps to what? To fine tune your what is it called? Your motor movement. It helps to fine tune. It fine tunes your what? Fine tunes your motor movement. Okay, so that what? It will be what? It will be well coordinated, so that it will be what? Very, very what? Clean. All right, so that is the cerebrum. It maintains posture and coordination of voluntary movement. All right, you have to what? Fine tune your motor movement. So now, in general, let us now see the functions of the hindbrain. Like number one, I said that one of the major functions you should never forget in your life is that what? It helps to what? Keep you alive. It helps to what? Keep you alive by regulating what? Several involuntary functions or basic involuntary functions like breathing. Okay, so number one, functions of the hindbrain. Okay, function number one, it helps to what? To keep you alive. All right, ALIVE. Okay, so that is it. It keeps you alive. And how does it do this? It does this by what? By controlling several what? Basic involuntary, by regulating basic involuntary what? Processes. Okay, like breathing and heartbeat. Okay, so that is one of the major functions. You should never forget that one. Okay, then number two, it helps in movement coordination. Movement coordination. It ensures movements are smooth and balanced. Okay, so that's another function of what? Of the hindbrain. Okay, movement coordination. It ensures that your movement is what? Is smooth and what? And balanced. So as you are going, okay, those of you that catwalk for the girls, okay, so your movement is smooth and balanced. It is what? Your hindbrain that is what? That coordinates all of that. Then number three, sensory relay. Sensory relay. It passes sensory and motor signals between the spinal cord and higher brain centers. Okay, so please take note of that. Okay, sensory relay, it passes sensory and motor signals between the spinal cord and the higher brain centers. Then also, number four, it helps in what? Reflex control. Reflex. It manages survival reflexes. Okay, the hindbrain helps to manage survival reflexes such as swallowing, coughing, vomiting. Okay, it helps to manage what? Survival reflexes. Okay, also number five, it helps in sleep regulation. Sleep regulation. It works with other brain regions to control sleep cycles. Sleep cycles. All right. So these are all the functions of what? Of the hindbrain. All right. It helps to keep you alive by what? By controlling basic what? Involuntary processes. They're involuntary, like breathing and heartbeat. Okay. All right. Imagine your heart is not beating again. If your heart stops beating, your cardiac must stop working. Okay, it is finished. All right. So number two, movement coordination. It ensures movement are smooth and balanced. Sensory relay. It passes sensory and motor signals between the spinal cord and the higher brain centers. And also reflex control. It manages survival of reflexes. Then number five, sleep regulation. It works with other brain regions to control sleep cycles. This now takes us to what? To the spinal cord. To the spinal cord. So let us look at the spinal cord quickly before we continue. All right. So please ensure you download your O3 Schools app. Okay. It has everything you need to succeed in your exam once. Look at our testimonies, okay? You will see how a lot of people's life have been transformed. I'm very sure that yours also will be. You give your own testimony at the end, all right? So let's look at the spinal cord quickly. Spinal cord, okay? The spinal cord is like the main internet cable, okay, of what? Of the body, all right? It sends what? Data back and forth, okay? Like messenger sent data back and forth. It's like a connecting piece between the brain and the rest of what? Of the body, all right? And of course, even during when you are offline, like when you are sleeping, it also controls some reflexes. For example, now you'll be sleeping, mosquito will bite you. Before you know, you wipe yourself, or your body is scratching you, you scratch it, okay? So that's the function of what the spinal cord is. Spinal cord is there to what? To help us control all of those. So let's look at the spinal cord. How does it look like? It's a long, a diagram is being shown to you right now, okay? It's a long cylindrical what? Cord, okay? It is a long cylindrical bundle of nerve tissue that runs from the brainstem down through the spine, all right? So that is what the spinal cord. It is a long cylindrical bundle of nerve tissue, okay? A long cylindrical bundle of nerve tissue that runs from the brainstem down through your spine, all right? And of course, this spinal cord is the main communication highway between the brain and the different part of what of the body. It is the main communication highway, okay? Like I said, like the main internet cable, all right? It's main communication what? Highway between what? The brain and the rest of what? Of the body. So the spinal cord is very, 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 very important, okay? And we know that what? That the spinal cord is protected by what? Protected by what? I said it earlier, protected by the vertebral column, or what the one we call the spinal cord, okay? Sorry, the backbone, sorry. All right, so it is what? Protected by the vertebral column, also known as what? As the backbone. And this spinal cord is also surrounded, okay, by what? By some structures. One is what? Meninges, and another one is what? Is the cerebrospinal what? Fluid. CSF, okay? I'll say that what? This cerebrospinal fluid, okay, it helps to what? To cushion, it helps to cushion it, okay? So it is there for what? For cushioning the effect of what? Shocks or jerks, okay? And the likes of that we have named earlier, okay? So please ensure you take the video back and go and watch it again in case you missed that part, all right? So that is what? The spinal cord, all right? It's a long cylindrical bundle of nerve tissue that runs from the brainstem down through the spine, all right? It's protected by the vertebral column, called the backbone, and what is the main communication highway between what? The brain and what? Different parts of the body. It's also surrounded by meninges and what? And the cerebrospinal fluid. Now let us see the structure of the spinal cord. The structure of the spinal cord, all right? So the spinal cord contains three main things, all right? Number one is what? The central gray matter. The central gray matter, okay? This central gray matter contains nerve cell bodies, okay? It contains nerve cells body, okay? It also contains what we call the white matter. The white what? Matter, okay? That surrounds it. So it contains the surrounding white matter. This one is used for what? For fast signal transmission. It is there for what? For fast signal transmission, all right? Then also, thirdly, we also have the spinal nerves, okay? Number three, spinal nerves. These spinal nerves, they are what? About 31 pairs, okay? They are about 31 pairs branching out to different parts of the body, okay? They are about 31 pairs branching out to different parts of what of the body. So in the spinal cord, we have what the central gray matter, who contain nerve cells body. We have the white matter, which helps what for fast signal transmission, and then the spinal nerves, which are about 31 pairs that branch outward to different parts of the body. Now let's quickly see the function of the spinal cord, and we are out of here. Function of the spinal cord. Number one is signal transmission. Okay, number one is signal transmission. Signal transmission. Okay, so now we're looking at the functions. All right, so now signal transmission. It carries sensory information from the body to the brain. Okay, it carries sensory information. Okay, from what? From the body to the brain. This one is what we call ascending tracts. Ascending what? Tracts. Okay, it is going up. All right, from the body down to the what? To the upward to the brain. Then also, it's also carry motor commands. It carry motor commands. Okay, from the brain now to the what? To different parts of the body. This one from what? From brain to what? To the body. Okay, this one is what we call the descending what? Tracts. All right, so it carries sensory information from what? From the body to the brain, and also carry motor commands from the brain to the what? To the body. So that's one of the functions of what? Of the what? Of the spinal cord. Okay, so we call it what? Sensory. You call it also signal transmission. Carries sensory information from the body to the brain, and then carries motor command from the brain to the body. All right. Another function of the spinal cord is reflex actions. Reflex actions. And what does reflex action talk about? It talks about controlling quick and automatic response. Automatic what? Response. Okay, controlling quick. Okay, quick what? Automatic response. For example, if you put your hand in what? In a hot object, okay, without even involving your brain, you withdraw it. Okay, so that is what the spinal cord what helps what to achieve. All right, so it controls what? Quick automatic what? Response. That's why we say what? It's also there for reflex action. Then number three, coordination. Coordination or the nation. All right. Also, the spinal cord helps us what? Helps for what? For coordination. It integrates signals for movement and posture with input from the brain. Okay. It integrates what? Signals for movement. Integrates signals for movement and posture with input from the brain. All right, this is another what? Fundamental function of what? Of the spinal cord. Okay, for coordination. All right, and also lastly, let us look at one more function, and that's what? Autonomic control. Okay, autonomic control. And what does autonomic control talk about? It talks about what? Helping to regulate involuntary functions. Helping to what? Regulate involuntary functions. Like example is sweating. Okay, sweating. Okay, also how what? Blood vessel dilation and what? And bladder control. All right, so that's another function of what? Of the spinal cord. Okay, autonomic what? Control. Helps to what? To regulate various what? Involuntary what? Functions like sweating, like blood vessel dilation, and what? And bladder what? Control. Okay, so that is all we need to see about what? The spinal cord. I'll discuss the brain. I'll discuss the spinal cord. Now, that will now take us to the last part of this class, which is the peripheral nervous system. Okay, the PNS. All right, so let's see the peripheral nervous system, what we call the PNS. All right, so now before we begin, please download the O3 Schools app. We'll download it now, activate it, and start immediately with us. Okay, wish you all the best. Success is not far from you, so long you join us in this endeavor. So now let us go to the peripheral nervous system, and we say that the peripheral nervous system consists of the motor system. We have the one we call the motor system. Okay, we also have the one we call the sensory system. Okay, take note. Okay, so we say that the peripheral nervous system, the PNS, consists of what? Of the sensory system and what? And the motor system. Now, what is the sensory system? The sensory system serves as a bridge between the environment and the CNS. Okay, so the sensory system, it serves as a bridge, okay, as a connection between what the environment and the central nervous system. Okay, so that is what the sensory system, and it consists of what? Of the sensory receptors. It consists of what? This sensory system consists of what? Sensory receptors and what? And sensory neurons, or what one will call the afferent neurons. All right, take note of that. Okay, so the sensory system serves as a bridge between the environment and the central nervous system. It consists of the sensory receptors and also the sensory or the afferent what? Neurons. And what are they there for? They are there to connect the receptors, connect the receptors to what? To the CNS. Okay, they are there to connect the receptors to the what? To the CNS. Take note of that. CNS means central nervous system. Okay, so the sensory system serves as the bridge between the environment and the central nervous system. Consists of what? The sensory receptors and what? Sensory or afferent neurons, and they are there to what? To connect the receptors to the central nervous system. Now, the motor system connects the CNS to the effectors. Okay, motor system, on the other hand, motor system connects the central nervous system, called what? The CNS, to the effectors. Okay, and what comprises of what? Of the motor system, we have the somatic what? Nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. Before I talk about that, it is good to know that the PNS, the peripheral nervous system, consists of nerves outside the skull. Okay, consists of nerves outside the skull, and also the vertebral columns. PNS consists of nerves outside the skull and what? The vertebral column. Okay, it consists of nerves outside the skull and the vertebral column. Okay, that are outside the skull, that are also outside the what? The vertebral column. That's what the PNS consists of. The PNS is made up of the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. Okay, it is made up of what? Of the cranial nerves and then the what? The spinal nerves. We have said the spinal nerves are what? They are 31 in number. There are 31 pairs. Okay, that branch out to different parts of the body. Then these cranial nerves, okay, there are 12 pairs. They are located at the back of the brain. Back of the brain, and then they send signals to the brain for either touch, smell, or sight and the likes. Okay, so that's what the cranial nerves. They now have what? The spinal nerves. So the what's it called now? Like I said, the peripheral nervous system consists of what? Of nerves that are outside the skull and the vertebral column. They consist of what? The cranial nerves, which are 12 pairs located at the back of the brain, and then the spinal nerves, which are what? 31 what? Pairs that branch out to different parts of the body. Also, I said that the motor system consists of what? Of the somatic nervous system, okay, and what? The what? Autonomic nervous system. Okay, this somatic nervous system is also called voluntary nervous system. It's also called voluntary nervous system. I think that will make what? Explaining what? Somatic nervous system very easy, because you already know that what? They are voluntary. Therefore, the somatic nervous system, okay, is the what? Is the part of the peripheral nervous system is the part of the peripheral nervous system that is in charge or that is associated with what? With voluntary control of body movement. Okay, somatic nervous system. Okay, we say it is what? It is the part of the PNS associated with voluntary control. With voluntary control of body movement. Okay? Via the skeletal muscles. All right? So that is what? The somatic nervous system. It is the part of the peripheral nervous system that is associated with voluntary control of body movement. Okay? You see that you are moving what you are. I'm doing this for voluntarily now. Okay? So it is in charge of what? Voluntary control of what? Of body movement via the skeletal muscles. Okay? Take note of what? Of that. Why the autonomic nervous system is the part of the PNS, autonomic nervous system is also the part of what? Of the PNS. It is the part of the PNS that controls and regulates the internal organs, that controls and regulates the internal organs without any support, okay? Without any support or without any knowledge of what? Of the organism, okay? So without any conscious recognition from the organism. Okay, these ones, they are involuntary. We don't know. Okay, there's no conscious recognition, no conscious control. Okay, so it can also be called what? Involuntary. Remember, I said somatic nervous system is also called voluntary nervous system. So that means autonomic can also be called involuntary nervous system. It is the part of the PNS that controls and regulates the internal organs without any conscious recognition from the organism. This autonomic nervous system consists of two types of nervous system too. All right, so take note. The autonomic nervous system consists of two types of nervous system called the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So we have the sympathetic and what? Parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so that is what the two types of what? Autonomous nervous system that we have. Now, what is the sympathetic nervous system? The sympathetic nervous system connects the internal organs to the brain, okay, by the spinal nerves. All right, so the sympathetic, they connect. Let me just put it this way. All right, sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic. All right, this one, they connect the internal organs to the brain by the spinal nerves. All right, so that is what the sympathetic nervous system. It connects what? The internal organs to the brain by the spinal nerves. Now, when this sympathetic nervous system, when these nerves that are stimulated, they prepare the organism for stress. Okay, they prepare the organism for stress. And how do they prepare the organism for stress? They do this by increasing the heart rate. Okay, number one, increasing the heart rate. Number two, increasing blood flow to the muscles. And then number three, decreasing blood flow to the skin. Decreasing blood flow to the skin. All right. So this is what the sympathetic nervous system. They connect the internal organs to the brain by the spinal nerves. And when these nerves are stimulated, okay, they prepare the organism for stress. Like I mentioned before, they prepare the organism for stress. And how do they do this? They do this by increasing the heart rate of the organism, decreasing blood flow to the muscle, and decreasing blood flow to the skin. Okay, so that is how they prepare the organism for stress. They decrease blood flow to the skin. Now the nerve fibers for the this is sympathetic. Okay, and we say the nerve fibers are the spinal nerves. Okay, they connect the internal organ to the brain by the spinal nerves. But the nerve fibers of the parasympathetic nervous system are the cranial nerves. Do not mix them. Okay, so for the sympathetic nervous system, spinal nerves, so SS, just know sympathetic spinal, parasympathetic cranial. Okay, so PC, like your personal computer, is a code that I can use to remember. Okay, so the nerve fibers of the parasympathetic nervous system is the cranial nerves. Now when the parasympathetic nerves are stimulated, what happens is that they increase digestive secretions. Number one, they increase digestive secretions. Okay, and then number two, they reduce heartbeats. All right, this goes to show that parasympathetic nerves, they are activated when the organism is at rest. Okay, all right, when it's balanced, when it's relaxed, because they increase digestive secretions, and also will now reduce your heartbeat. If your heart is not beating fast, it means that it definitely means that you are relaxed. Okay, so that is that for that. So the somatic nervous system, part of the PNS, associated with voluntary control of body movement via the skeletal muscles. Autonomic nervous system, part of the PNS that controls and regulate the internal organs without conscious recognition of the organism or by the organism. Then we said that autonomic nervous system divided into two: the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic connects the internal organs to the brain by the spinal nerves, SS. While the parasympathetic connects the internal organs to the brain by by the cranial nerves. And when stimulated, okay, they increase digestive secretions and reduce heartbeat. But when sympathetic nerves are stimulated, it increases the heart rate, increases blood flow to the muscles, and decreases blood flow to the skin. Because you are under stress, you need a lot of you need your muscles you need blood to be flowing to your muscles. Okay, so it decreases the blood flow to the skin, increases blood flow to the muscles so that it can work properly, and then increases the heart rate. All right, so that is where we're going to stop today. All right, ensure that you download the O3 Schools app. But let us see, before we go, let us see some questions from the application, and then you answer them now because they have become very easy. All right, you will see how easy they are now because you have learned. All right, number one here is 2020, number 17. Okay, it's an assignment for you. 2020, number 17. It says the brain and the spinal cord make up the ASA peripheral nervous system. B say automatic nervous system. C say central nervous system. D say somatic nervous system. Tell me the answer in the comment section. 2018, number 2. Number 2, it says the part of the brain that is responsible for the control of voluntary movement and interpretation of sensation is known as A say cerebrum, B say cerebellum, C say optic lobe, D say olfactory lobe. All right, so tell me the answer in the comment section. 2001, number 27. It says the center for learning and memory in the human body, in the human brain rather, is A says the olfactory lobe, B say the cerebrum, C say the medulla oblongata, D say the cerebellum. Okay, tell me the answer in the comment section. 1995, number 26 says the process of walking is under the control of the part of the brain called the part of the brain that controls posture, okay, and movement of muscular movement. All right, is A say optic lobe, B says olfactory lobe, C says cerebellum, D says medulla oblongata. I told you. Now, 2022, number 21. Number 21 says the cerebrum, olfactory lobes, thalamus, and hypothalamus are found in the A say forebrain, B say hindbrain, C say midbrain, D say backbrain. Okay, I don't know if you have a backbrain. All right, so tell me the answer in the comment section. Year 2000, number 12. 2000, number 12. It said the part of the brain that controls body posture in mammals is the A say thalamus, B say cerebellum, C say spinal cord, D say cerebrum. So tell me the correct answer in the comment section. So there are so many other questions on the application that we cannot use this question. The question servitor gave us up to 100 questions, but how many can we be able to do in this class? All right. So make sure you get the application, activate it so that I can get the full benefits. All right. My name remains Master T. I'm the commander of the O3 Schools Army. I wish you all the best. I'll see you in the next class.